Hi guys, Nick Bosco here. I know it's been a while since I put any videos up on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to try and make this a regular thing going forward, getting back to just putting up some videos about like some news that's going on, doing some more interviews, and yeah, I just appreciate everybody who still subscribes to this channel. And if you're seeing this for the first time, if you could just do me a favor and subscribe, because I'm sure there's gonna be more stuff coming up this year. So today I was going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Ultimate Fighter season that has been in the news a bunch lately. Bang, man! Wanna do it? Conor McGregor came out and said that he has been contacted to become one of the coaches for the new upcoming season of the Ultimate Fighter. Now, this is kind of big news because Conor has been, away from the sport for almost 2 years now. He broke his leg in the last fight he had with Dustin Poirier. Ow. He's been out ever since, healing up his leg, filming a movie, doing all kinds of things. I mean, he's been in the news for, being arrested or being charged with assault and all this other stuff. Basically, he's been gone. He also pulled himself from the USADA testing pool, which is the, as some of you may know, the testing that all fighters have to go through in order to compete in the UFC, drug testing. So he hasn't been involved in that. He's been obviously putting on weight. He's been putting on muscle. He's been showing off his physique on, social media and everything. So in order to come back and compete, he must go through 6 months of testing through USADA, come out clean every single time, and then he'll be able to return. He has mentioned that he wants to return. He, over the past 2 years, has been calling out, different fighters and saying that he wants to return to the UFC. So I think coming to the Ultimate Fighter is actually a great way for him to do it because the filming takes at least 6 weeks. I don't know when filming exactly will start, but if he can test from, say, now, I don't know if he's back in the testing pool right now, but from now, say filming starts in a couple weeks, it goes for a couple weeks, and then he has a couple months after that before they make the fight. Sounds like a good deal. The thing that surprised me from that announcement is that Conor is the biggest star in the UFC still, even though he's been gone. He obviously makes the most money out of anyone in the UFC. And the Ultimate Fighter has kind of been tanking lately. Like, I don't really think a lot of people have been as interested in it recently as they have in, like, say, the early days. But they're going to have to pay him a lot of money to do this. It seems like it's kind of like throwing the Ultimate Fighter a lifeline, kind of, like, please get this show back on track. Personally, I think it's kind of surprising that they're still even bothering with the Ultimate Fighter after, its track record of people not really being very interested in it. Other shows like the Contender Series have been ways to get fighters into the UFC rather than being on this show for 6 weeks and having to fight several different times, cut weight several different times. It just seemed like kind of dated at this point. But with Conor coming back, it's definitely going to be seeing a huge jump up in viewership. Now the question remains, who will he be coaching against? Last time he was on the show coaching, he coached against Uriah Faber, who was not even in his weight class. He was bantamweight. Conor was a lightweight at the time or featherweight at the time, I'm not sure. They were in 2 different weight classes, so they never fought each other. That could be the case again. I mean, Conor could basically coach against anybody. It doesn't mean that he's technically going to fight them. Now, of course, that is the drama of the show. The 2 coaches coaching against each other, whose team's going to win, and then they fight at the end of the season. That has been, that has been the way that the Ultimate Fighter has gone over the past, I don't even know, 10 years or so. So who could it be? Tony Ferguson came out, which I thought was pretty genius, saying, I got contacted to coach the Ultimate Fighter and I'm picking Conor, basically saying he's in the driver's seat. You don't know if that's true or not. If he never was contacted, then that's a genius move by him. Saying oh yeah, this is me, putting his name out there, saying, I got the call, it's gonna be me. I think that's smart. I do think that would be pretty entertaining. I think for number one, it would be smart for both fighters because if Conor were to fight Tony Ferguson on his way back, as his first fight's back, I think he would be favored in that fight. Ferguson hasn't been doing well of late. He's kind of on the very end of his career. And for Tony, it would be good because he'd probably be getting a good amount of money. He's getting a good amount of exposure. And if he wanted to have 1 or 2 more fights, why not fight Conor, the big one, and then that's it. you know, he could win and then he can go out on top saying he'd beat Conor McGregor. He could lose, but then he's getting a huge payday and then, you know, go live his life. I know he's going to like Harvard Business School or something like that. So that's one way to go. Obviously, Michael Chandler has been chirping for the Conor McGregor fight for over a year, probably, or since he basically came to the UFC. He's been wanting to fight Conor. You know, they both seemed pretty interested in it. He has pretty much made it clear that he's interested in the fight, but has not mentioned anything about being contacted to coach against him. I think that if Conor was looking for just a win on his way back, picking Tony Ferguson would be better. But I think the beef between Michael Chandler and Conor would be very good for television. And I think the fans want to see that. And that fight seems a little more realistic and competitive. So that could be another way to go. I know a lot of people said maybe Jorge Masvidal, but he just got matched up with a fight against Gilbert Burns. So I don't think he's going to be doing both. Honestly, it could be anybody. Like, it could be, they could bring Nick Diaz in to just coach against Conor. I saw somebody mention that on social media, but I don't think that's going to happen. Although Nick Diaz seems like he's been more and more wanting to be in the limelight like his brother Nate is, he doesn't really have the personality to be like a television star. He just barely speaks as it is. So I don't think that's going to happen. But honestly, I mean, they could throw anybody in there, really, considering that they don't have to fight each other. But it would make sense for it to be, like, you know, somebody that he would be fighting against next. You guys let me know in the comments if you think that he should be, like, Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, anybody else. If you have anybody out of the blue that you think will be stepping. I mean, even Khabib could step in as a coach and not fight, although he also mentioned that he kind of wants to move away from fighting as a sport in general and kind of is like putting distance between himself and the sport. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, honestly, could be Makhachev. You know, if he beats Alexander Volkanovski in a couple weeks, maybe he'll be the coach. You never know. So you guys let me know in the comments who you would like to see coach against Conor, and any kind of, you know, videos you want to see me doing going forward. I'd be more than happy to. I'm going to try and make time at least once a week to do these kinds of like news type videos, and hopefully you guys like them. If you think they're fun. Also give me a follow on Twitter. It's at NickBoss, Nikbos, and I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much.